The college basketball experience, coaching carousel, why each hire will work, part 2 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is offering plenty of markets this week's PGA Championship that you can't find anywhere else. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. Welcome, everybody, to the College Basketball Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Wednesday night, May the 15th. We're talking college hoops. We're talking coaching carousel. Go check out our part 1 where we dove into the probably top 20 to 25 coaches in terms of high-profile names. Now we're going to dive into the mid-major ranks and finish off. There were 66 moves this offseason. We're going to touch each and every one. But if you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, also known as...
It's Mac Tonight. Come on, make it Mac Tonight.
Another edition of Mac Tonight over at the College Basketball Experience. And we got a full lineup here. It's going to be more rapid fire here tonight. Like I said, with all the coaches that moved in the carousel, 66 coaches that have moved so far. Assistant coaches assistant coaches being promoted, other head coaches taking other jobs. But hey, we're going to recap it all. But first we got to talk about if you want to watch some other hoops, go over to the WNBA Gambling Podcast. It's back this weekend. Did you know they're giving away a single podcast SGPN release all in one place? Just smash that SGPN network feed wherever you listen to your podcast today. All righty, on the college basketball experience, we're going to dive right into it. First up, and this actually was a promotion within. He was the interim head coach last year for the Bryant Bulldogs. Did a good job. Finished 20-13. That is Phil Martelli Jr. Yes, the same Phil Martelli Jr., the son of Phil Martelli Sr., played at St. Joe's, was an assistant at Delaware. Theme of this episode, why each hire can work. Well, he won 20 games at Bryant last year, so continue the momentum. Martelli Jr., officially the head coach for the Bryant Bulldogs. And we're going to go alphabetical order of these remaining programs. Mike DeGeorge going over to Cal Poly. Kind of you're probably wondering who's Mike DeGeorge is. Well, he's got 300-plus wins as a head coach at Colorado Mesa, Rhodes, Cornell, college that is, and Eureka. Why this could work, we saw this with Andy Newman last year at Northridge, who won in this league, the Big West. Maybe he comes in, he establishes a culture. Division II NAIA guys have had success that have been able to have to replace a roster year in and year out. So DeGeorge has that background. Maybe he can get it going at Cal Poly as they're coming off an abysmal year where they were 0-18 in league. Let's go down to Canisius. Jim Christian. This is an easy one to sell. 320 and 286 at Boston College, Ohio, TCU, Kent State. But he's been really, really good at the mid-majors, especially at Kent State and Ohio, where he was 137 and 59 in his years there, and 49 and 22. 2 NCAA tournaments at Kent. He's a really good mid-major coach, and he's at Canisius, back in upstate, or in the Northeast, I mean. And, I expect good things out of him. He's been an assistant at Kent State these last couple of years for that winning program. So I like the hire of Jim Christian going over to Canisius. John Schulman taking over Central Arkansas. Yes, the same John Schulman that was head coach at Chattanooga and Alabama Huntsville. He did a really good job. 257, 185, head coaching experience, 2 NCAA tournaments at Chattanooga, experience going over to Central Arkansas, the OVC, it's kind of a winnable league. Morehead's going through a coaching change themselves, so I like the hire of Schulman. He had it going at Chattanooga. That's somewhere geographically, somewhere near Central Arkansas. I know Tennessee and Arkansas will be like, hey, that's like 6, 7 hours, 10 hours apart. But you get the picture. He's coaching the OVC before. Now he's going to do so at Central Arkansas. Good hire by Central Arkansas. Saad Nimley from Charleston Southern, youngest coach, I believe, on the Carousel, 30 years old, played at Charleston Southern from 2011 to 2015. He was the interim coach as well last year. He was an assistant, so he bleeds Charleston Southern. We'll see how he transitioned into the full-time job now down there in the Big South at Charleston Southern. I like this hire. This is a quiet one. And this is Spinelli, Scott Spinelli going over, promoted within to Chicago State. He's a journeyman. He's a grinder. He's a Boston guy. He's been pretty much everywhere in the country. Chicago State, obviously, he helped them with their success the last couple of years. Jared Gillen goes over to Long Island. In comes Spinelli now, steps into the head coaching role. He was associate head coach. Boston College, Maryland, Texas A&M, Wichita, Nebraska, Loyola Chicago American, Wyoming, and Boston. So a lot of stops, a lot of winning track record here for Spinelli. He's an energy guy, Boston guy, like I said. I think he steps right in for Jared Gillen, and they get things going in the NEC for year number 1 with our Chicago State Cougars. Shout out to the chat, by the way, Rolex and Damani. Yes. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, by the way, Coach Nimley. Yeah, he did keep a lot, and they did play better down the stretch. So they're a team to look out for in the Big South as maybe a sleeper next year as he gets the full-time gig. Just let's go over to Coastal Carolina. Cliff Ellis finally steps down. Justin Gray's coming over from Western Carolina. Thought he did an excellent job. 51-47 in 3 years. Now it's 51-47 doesn't do him justice. 11 wins year number 1. Then they go to 16, 17 wins. And last year, 22 wins in the SoCon. They got better each and every year. A program builder. Yes, the same Justin Gray that played at Wake Forest. Good hire for Coastal. Easy guy to sell here on why he can be successful going over from the Catamounts over to the Chanticleers. John Jackies is going to be promoted within at Cornell. He's at Cornell, kind of like Nimley at Charleston Southern. Jackies, he's been an assistant at Cornell from 2013 till now. I played at Cornell on Steve Donahue's team that went to the Sweet 16 before falling to that John Wall Kentucky team in the Sweet 16. He bleeds Cornell. He knows the Ivy League to continue the continuity of the success of the Cornell Big Red from last year. Mark Montgomery's going over to Detroit. He was head coach at Northern Illinois, so another guy. He's got track record as being a head coach. He won the MAC West in 2020, the year that everything got canceled, so kind of got gypped a little bit on his best team, 124 and 170. Wasn't great, but he's a Sparty and Izzo guy. Played at Sparty from 88 to 92, and he was an assistant coach the last 3 years for Michigan State. So goes over from East Lansing over to Detroit after a couple years working for Tom Izzo. Working for Tom Izzo can only help you, in my opinion. So Mark Montgomery brings over some of that Sparty toughness, and that's why he could be good at Detroit. Ben McCollum, this one's easy to sell as well. He takes over Darren DeVries, who takes over the best university in the land, West Virginia. McCollum at Northwest Missouri State. He won 4 national championships at that level, 394 and 91. Plays an exciting brand of basketball. He's from Iowa. He's worked at multiple jobs in Iowa. He knows Drake. He knows the Missouri Valley, and he's a winner. He's a proven winner. And like I said, with a couple of these other guys, just because you haven't been at the highest level, if you win at the high school level, you win at the junior college level, you win at the NAIA level, you win at the D2 level, usually that translates to success at the next level because you're having to replace your roster year in and year out because that's how it is at those levels, and that's the way it's trended over the last 4 or 5 years in college basketball with the NIL and transfer portal era. So love the McCollum hire and fit at Drake. Drew Joyce is going to be promoted at Duquesne, assistant the last couple years for Keith Dambrot. And he played at Akron back in the day. You probably know him from LeBron James's high school team at St. Mary's Vincent. Yes, so energy guy, young guy, and they had success the last couple years. They went to the NCAA tournament, won a game. Drew Joyce continues the continuity of the momentum from last year over at Duquesne. Why he could be good there. Dan Monson, going from our Long Beach, he got fucking jobbed, where he was fired before the conference tournament. Well, what did he do? He stuck it up the administration's ass by winning 4 games of 4 nights, going to the NCAA tournament. Then they lost to Arizona. I don't think people realize that Dan Monson was the guy that got Gonzaga going before handing it off to Mark Few, 97-99, including an Elite Eight. He won the Big West 4 times, 2 NCAA tournaments. He at Minnesota as well. So he's won 400-plus games as a head coach. Now he's going to Eastern Washington. Should fit right in there. Should win there. They should continue to dominate that league. Love the hire. Getting a old school guy up in Eastern Washington to continue the momentum of what's been a good run here for the Eagles. Chris Casey, this one was easy as well. Another interim guy that got the job. Well, this guy, I mean, this was the easiest one to sell. MAAC Coach of the Year, 24-13 in his interim year. They were right there to win the league. They lost in the title game to, why am I drawing a blank on who they lost to? Who did Fairfield lose to? I remember it being a back and forth game. St. Peter's, the Peacocks, back and forth game. Yeah, great job and well deserved. He got the job right before the year when the head coach resigned. He stepped right in, continued the continuity of that program. 24-13, well earned. Patrick Crary is getting the Florida A&M job. 61-27 at St. Thomas, Florida. Over the last couple of years, he's also been a head coach at Washington Adventist and Tacoma. So another guy that could potentially win because he's won at other places. Just another level up. Florida A&M's a very hard job, but this guy, he could be a good fit with the energy. Vance Wahlberg's in the Fresno job. Way back in the day, he had the Pepperdine job, but since then, NBA guy, worked for George Karl, for the Nuggets, for the Sixers, for the Kings. I'm not the biggest NBA guy, as everybody knows. Well, NBA hires, that is. So I don't know. I don't know about this one with Fresno, but can't get any worse. So we'll see if Wahlberg can bring some NBA and maybe a retread on the coaching aspect. Rolex Dad says he's a high school legend. So yeah, hopefully Wahlberg can get things going for Fresno in the Mountain West. Jeremy Luther is going to be promoted at Gardner-Webb. Well, he was there for the last 11 years. Well earned. Gardner-Webb's been a good program in the Big South. He also has head coaching experience at Armstrong Atlantic, Newberry, and Windsor Academy. So another guy, high school D2 experience, and then he worked his way up as an assistant, earns a well-earned promotion. So looking forward to seeing the Jeremy Luther era. And I think it's fitting that we take a break on this next one. Green Bay's next on the list, so you guys will get to them on the other side. But first, we got to talk about NYRA bets. Bet the second jewel of this Triple Crown with NYRA bets. Sign up today for a $200 deposit bonus up to SGPN 200. Join now to claim your $200 bonus bets to just in time for the Preakness at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Find your competitive edge with live handicapping contests nearly every week. Enter the Friday feeder contest to earn your $300 contest, plus win each prizes and seats into the contest with NYRA Bet Saturday contest. Registration closes before the Belmont at Big A third race. Post time on the day of each contest. Get in and get your bonuses at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. And we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and so is our Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. You simply stack highs and lowers. We're running out of games in the NBA playoffs as we get into game 6s and 7s. Underdog is available in 30-plus states, including California, Texas, Canada, and they just joined and launched their Champions Players versus Players format in Florida. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first deposit up to $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. All righty, we are back on the college basketball experience. And now we get to this hire. Had to take a sip of my cold beer here. Doug Gottlieb gets the Green Bay job. And I'm sure everybody's heard this one. Obviously, Doug Gottlieb is a member of the media. He's been a successful member of the media, working for ESPN, CBS, Field of 68, et cetera, et cetera. Played for Eddie Sutton in the 90s. Solid college basketball player. Good broadcasting career. And I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the media hires to begin with. I'm definitely not a fan of hiring a guy that is going to continue to do a 3-hour radio show every single day. Seems like coaching Green Bay's a fucking hobby to him, in my opinion. I know they're going to twist it that he's taking a pay cut. He's going to pay his coaches more, the NIL, blah, blah, blah. And all, I mean, you have to spin it some way and lie to your fans and players and coaches that you're going to be all in. The reality is he's doing his program, his athletic department, a disservice by continuing his 3-hour broadcast show. He's doing his broadcast audience a disservice show. How the hell? I got the NBA on in the background. I barely can watch the NBA in college basketball season because I have to watch all the college basketball games that are going on at the exact same time to do this show. When I was in the coaching industry, I never watched the NBA. I maybe on a Sunday night or a Friday night when it was a slow night, maybe able to watch one game or a half. But other than that, it's all college basketball. He should be watching Horizon basketball from November all the way to March. There's no way he has time to do a 3-hour radio show and coach his basketball team at the same time. Coaching isn't a show up 9 to 5 job. You don't just show up at practice at 3:30, roll out the balls, show up at 7 o'clock and play the fucking game. This hire's a fucking joke. I'm sorry. I know I'm trying to be positive on this episode, but I can't be positive on this one because you got guys that have grinded their asses off for years and years in this coaching industry that were passed over for a guy that they're hiring for clicks. That's all this is. It's a sexy hire that they get on the clicker or on the ticker that, hey, let's see what Green Bay did tonight with Doug Gottlieb. There's no way this is going to work. When they're on the road at Youngstown State or they're on the road at Milwaukee or they're on the road at IUPUI and the game tips at 7 and your shoot around times at 10 or 11 o'clock, sorry, we can't do that time slot because our head coach has a radio show. You think the fucking other team's going to change your shoot around time? When one of your players needs something at 10, 11 a.m., so there's an issue in your program or there's an emergency. Oh, sorry, he's on his radio show right now. What the hell are we talking? This is a joke of a hire. This is a fucking joke. And shame on Green Bay and shame on Fox Sports Radio for allowing this to happen. I don't wish the worst for Doug Gottlieb. I don't mind Doug Gottlieb. I actually think usually for the most part he's actually a pretty good commentator because he's not one of these politically correct suits that just says whatever everybody wants to hear. He does have an opinion. He does have a spine, but this is a joke. This is a spit in the face of the coaching industry. And I guess at least we'll make some money fading the shit out of Green Bay next year. So Green Bay fans, I know we have a lot of you on this show. You guys are going to fucking suck because this is a joke of a hire. How it could work, you tell me. Tweet at me at moneyline_Matt because I don't have a fucking scenario where this is going to work. Maybe he has the best players by far. Other than that, I don't see it happening. I know it's not going to happen. Not I don't see it happen. I know it's not going to happen. This is a joke. Let's get on to some other hires that were well earned and well deserved. Ivan Thomas going over from Ed Cooley's staff, Providence and Georgetown the last 7-8 years. So he's an Ed Cooley guy. He's got head coaching experience as well in the Virginia DMV area. Thomas Edison, TC Williams, and I always mispronounce the school, and it's down here a little bit south of me. Kigokton. So he's coaching the state. Hey, you got some guys that actually coach, not just fucking talked on the fucking radio and get a job. I mean, fuck, they should just hire me at this point. I'm as qualified as that Green Bay hire. Actually, no, not as qualified, more qualified, just with my coaching track record. So anyway, this isn't about me. This is about the coaches that earned their jobs here. Craig Dowdy got the Houston Christian job, 259 and 126. Head coaching experience at Emporia State, Graceland, and Rock Valley over the last 10, 12 years. Maybe a guy that's worked his way up. We'll see how he does at Houston Christian. Hard job. So interested to see how this translates. Matthew Graves gets the Indiana State job. And Matthew Graves is an interesting one. Speaking, we're talking about guys that have earned their stripes and earned their opportunities. He was with Brad Stevens. He played at Butler from 93 to 98. He was an assistant from 2000 to 2013. He was an assistant also at Indiana State from 2021 to 24. Things didn't work out at South Alabama. He left Butler a month before Brad Stevens left to go to the Boston Celtics. He was going to get the Butler job. So it's really, I'm glad to see him get an opportunity like this because he should have been the next guy at Butler. It didn't happen because he left a little bit early. Timing wasn't right. So looking forward to seeing him continue the continuity as Schertz took the St. Louis job. Paul Corsaro got the IUPUI job. I like this hire. I like this hire for Ooey Pooey, and shout out to our friends in Vegas that are big IUPUI fans. This guy, Corsaro, 79-37 at the University of Indiana. Well earned. University of Indianapolis. And 49-14 over the last couple of years. So love this hire. Think it's as good as Ooey Pooey could have done. And can't wait till they beat Green Bay's ass. Let's go, Ooey Pooey. Preston Spradlin got the James Madison job. 140 and 109 at Morehead. But really consistent. Won the OVC back-to-back years in the NCAA tournaments in 24 and 21. Who knows what could have happened at Johnny Broom's stage? So, David, good question. Good question. Those listen on the podcast. What's more of a joke? Gottlieb getting the coaching gig or Bronny James being invited to the combine? Forget getting invited to the combine. He's going to get drafted. So, I saw some people comparing Bronny James to Deuce McBride, and I'm like, time out. I was around Deuce McBride. He couldn't fucking sniff Deuce McBride's fucking jockstrap. What are you fucking talking about? Deuce McBride was first team all Big 12, and Bronny James was a 7th or 8th man at USC, a losing USC team, by the way. Not Bronny James's fault, but let's call it like it is. Nepotism. He's there because his dad's LeBron James, just like the other situation. People just don't want to tell the truth. Oh, he's taking less money. No, he's not. He's doing. They're hiring him for clicks. They invited Bronny James because his dad is LeBron James. That's okay. At least tell the truth to us. Chris Acker. Speaking of guys that will tell the truth, Chris Acker got the Long Beach job. I like this hire. He doesn't have the head coaching experience, but San Diego State defensive or assistant coach. Obviously defensive-minded at Boise as well, Hawaii, Citrus. So, guy that's paid his dues. He's grinded in good programs in the Mountain West. Now he gets a shot at Long Beach. Josh Loeffler going over to Loyola, Maryland. He was at Cincinnati, and now he's going back to Loyola, Maryland, where he was there from 13 to 17. He was a head coach at Johns Hopkins and Stevens Tech. So, and he was good at Johns Hopkins. So, guy that's going to be working his way back up, getting a head coaching gig. Cornelius Jackson gets the Marshall job. He was there the last 7-8 years. Ford D'Antoni gets the bump up, promote within. Played at Marshall from 98 to 2001. We're seeing that a little bit where guys that played there, guys that have done 7-8 years as an assistant coach. Amazing. Do 7-8 years as an assistant coach, and you can get a head coaching opportunity, not just talk on the fucking radio for 3 hours. But yeah, Jackson gets his opportunity. We'll see what he does with the Herd. Ryan Ritter gets the Mercer job. This was a well-earned job, well-earned promotion. Did a great job at UT Martin. They were right there this year to win the OVC before falling to Morehead in the semifinals. Did a good job there. Did a job at Bethune-Cookman. Did a great job at Daytona State as a junior college, 95-28. He's going to win there. He's won wherever he's been. Bethune, Martin, JUCO. Love the hire. This one made me scratch my head. We talked about this already. Quanzo Martin going back to Missouri State after stints at Mizzou, Cal, Tennessee. He got the gigs because he had success at Missouri State. He won the Valley, his regular season Valley, his last year there. He was 61-41 in 3 years. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of rehires, but I mean, Quanzo did do a good job there. We'll see how he does. Jonathan Maddox, hopefully future guest over here at the College Basketball Experience, gets the Morehead job. He was at Murray the last couple of years, but was at Morehead from 13 to 22. Part of those winning teams at Morehead State. Did a good job. GA, ops, assistant, wore every hat. Now he gets his opportunity to run that storied OVC program with the Morehead State Golden Eagles. Another guy that earned his opportunity, and hopefully another guest here soon over at the College Basketball Experience, Donnie Lind, going back to Mount St. Mary's. He was he was assistant coach there from 13 to 16. Stops at Radford, Greensboro. He was a support staffer, ops guy for Shock and Smart's VCU teams. Then he followed Mike Jones over to Radford and Greensboro the last 8 years. Well-earned opportunity at Mount St. Mary's. So we'll see how Mr. Lind does for the Mountaineers. I think he's going to do a good job. Stacey Hollowell, New Orleans. He was at Texas Southern the last year. Head coaching experience at Loyola, Louisiana, and Quater. So another guy that's got experience as a head coach in the Louisiana area. Mike Jones gets the Old Dominion job. DMV guy. This is good. I like this hire. He played at ODU from 91 to 95. He also has DMV roots, Maryland, Virginia Tech, and then, of course, DeMatha. He replaced Coach Wooden there, so he's going to be very connected in recruiting. And obviously the NIL, being an alum of the Monarchs. Good hire from the Old Dominion Monarchs. Dave Smart gets a Pacific job. He was an assistant coach for Texas Tech the last year for Grant McCaslin. He also was a great coach at the Canadian level at Carleton. 591-48. I don't care what fucking school you're coaching at. You have 591-48. You can coach the basketball. So we'll see if he can get Pacific back on track after. Well, the last time we saw Pacific, they were getting undressed in the WCC tournament by about 1,000. So he's got his work cut out for him. Ed Schilling. Well, we're speaking of, Pepperdine drilled Pacific. Let's go over to Pepperdine. Ed Schilling gets a job. He's at Grand Canyon the last couple of years with Bryce Drew, head coach at Wright State back in the day. Maybe a change of scenery. It's better for him coming back to Grand Canyon. So, yeah, we'll see how he does. Rob Lanier, the guy that started all this madness, he gets fired at SMU, which was bullshit. We talked about that. He elevated them from 10 to 20 wins from year 1 to year 2, but SMU is going in the ACC, so they wanted a sexy big name hire. He did a good job at Georgia State, won an NCAA or got them to an NCAA tournament. He's a Rick Barnes guy, Billy Donovan guy. Assistant coach stops at Texas, Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia back in the day. I think he'll do a great job at Rice going over just across town from SMU. Gerry McNamara, yes, the same Gerry McNamara that played at Syracuse. He got the Siena job when the Saints go marching in. McNamara, no surprise, was at Syracuse from 2009 to 2024. He's an upstate New York guy. He knows the area. We'll see how he does as the head coach at Siena. So now we got Pauls at Niagara, McNamara at Siena. Here we go. Duke versus Syracuse in the MAAC. Marty Richard gets South Carolina upstate job. This one surprised me. This is DeVries's top assistant the last 6 years. Thought he was coming to Morgantown, but got this head coaching gig. He was a head coach at Florida Southwestern State. Had a lot of success there. Now he gets to run a program in the Big South. One of the more underrated hires on the carousel, Scott Nagy, going over from Wright State to Southern Illinois, 577 and 332 over the last 20 plus years. He was the guy that got South Dakota State going. He got South Dakota State from D2 into Division I, into the Summit League, 5 NCAA tournaments, 10 regular season titles. Good coach. I think the Salukis got their guy. I think the Salukis can get back to the dance finally and get this program back to where it should be year in and year out in the Missouri Valley. He's a winner. He's going to win there. Rob Eshon got the Illinois-Chicago job. This one was a little surprising. He's not really a Chicago guy, but Jared Haas assistant at Stanford and UAB. And then he was promoted when Haas went from UAB to Stanford. He went 76 and 57 in his 4 years. Not bad. Andy Kennedy took it over, took it to another level. So Esom was a nice little bridge guy from Haas to Andy Kennedy. We'll see how he does running his own program in the Missouri Valley now. Jeremy Schulman gets the UT Martin job. This guy's been a grinder as well. Like to see these grinders get their well-earned opportunities. He wasn't just talking on the radio for 3 hours. He was grinding it out in Eastern Florida State College the last 15 years, 350 wins there, all-time leader there. I think he'll do a good job. I mean, he's been a JUCO guy. These JUCO guys have success when they get their opportunity to run a program. They're used to reloading a roster year in and year out. I can't stress that enough. I like the Schulman hire with UT Martin. I think he'll have some success there. Khalil Fennell takes over the Mexicans, UT Rio Grande. This is going to be interesting. He was at BYU last 3 years. He was at Louisville. He was at Portland State. I guess why it could work, something different, kind of like Mark Pope at BYU. We'll see how he does with UT Rio Grande. Hard fucking job. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're basically in Mexico, and that league is loaded. So Fennell has his work cut out for him. Another hire I really liked, and this one's easy to sell. Austin Claunch gets a UT San Antonio job. Spent 1 year at Alabama with Nate Oates. They go to the Final Four. Remember, he was at Nichols before that, 90 and 60 in those, 5 years, 58 and 28, won the Southland 2 years. He should be good. He should be good getting a year with Nate Oates and his track record as a head coach at Nichols. Tim Kraft gets the Gardner-Webb job. So he was at the Western Carolina job from Gardner-Webb. 188 and 166 at Gardner-Webb. Solid job. They always were top 4, top 5 in the Big South. Never could really get to the 1 or 2 spot. They went to the tournament in 2019. They had Virginia down. But yeah, I mean, he'll continue to run a solid program. Easy guy to sell, be a top 4 or 5 team in the SoCon. That's a fucking hard league with Wofford, ETSU, Chattanooga, Sanford. I mean, it's why it's the best tournament, mid-major tournament year in and year out, is so many really good teams, good coaches, good programs. Speaking of good coaches, good programs, Western Kentucky promotes within. Hank Plana. I'm terrible with names, but I know this guy can coach. 1 year with Steve Lutz, and then he's, you know me, I love the JUCO guys. 225 and 35 at Indian Hills. Plenty of guys he coached. Won there. Ran a good program. Very, very respected in the industry. So I like this fit here, taking over the Hilltoppers after getting to the dance after Stansbury kicked rock. So good hire, Western Kentucky. Brian Earl takes over William and Mary, Bill and Mary. 96 and 103 at Cornell. He was there 8 years. He had 22 wins, though, his last year. So probably got out at the right time. avoided the hot seat, got over to Bill and Mary. They still have not been to the tournament. They never should have fired Tony Shaver, but they did because they're fucking Bill and Mary and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. Like I said, never been to the NCAA tournament, but hey, he last year was a good year for Cornell. Clint Sargent, well-earned promotion at Wright State. Been there the last 8 years. Played for Nagy at South Dakota State. Tip of the cap to teams that promoted within for respectable, successful programs. Wright State, Western Kentucky. We're going to get to Youngstown here in a minute. Who else did we talk about? Gardner-Webb. Love when the teams promote within after you've had success. Keep the continuity of your program. Don't go outside and hire a radio guy to come fuck up what you turned around in what was already a really good year. And what he's going to fuck up is Sundance Wicks. Sorry. Great year. 18-14 at Green Bay. Remember, Wicks took over dumpster fire. They were 3 wins 2 years ago because they went with an outsider, Bo Ryan's son. They fucking sucked. They were at the bottom of the horizon. Wicks comes in 1 year, turns it around because he's a grinder, hires a good staff, gets Noah Reynolds. I know his brother was on staff. But Wicks goes back to Wyoming where he's from. He was there with Linder when they had their run to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. He's a Wyoming guy, like I said. Grew up there, kind of a dream job. La Paradise is what they're calling it, Laramie. So love the hire of bringing Sundance Wicks back to Wyoming, bringing them back to the Mountain West as Linder went down to Texas Tech to reunite with Grant McCaslin. A+ hire for Wyoming. And sorry, Coach Wicks said Doug Gottlieb's going to fuck up everything that you turned around there in Green Bay in just 1 year. Ethan Faulkner gets a Youngstown job, promoted within. They did a great job at Youngstown. Jared Calhoun, promote within. He was there the last 5 years, played at Northern Kentucky. He can win, keep the continuity of the program. So that does it. Like I said, it was going to be more rapid fire here. We're 40 minutes in, recapping all 66 hires. Go check out part 1 of this where we cover Calipari, Chris Mack, Holtman, Mark Pope, Pat Kelsey, Dusty May, Diebler. Who else did we? Shirts, Enfield, Musselman, Calhoun, Sprinkle, DeVries. We covered everybody. We've covered all 66 hires, and we've laid out why each and every one can work out, except for one. So you guys can figure out which one. I'm tired of bitching about it and complaining about it. It ain't going to change, and we'll just make some money fading them. So, all right, guys, this is the college basketball experience. We will be back next week, Sunday night. So we're going to get into that Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Like I said, we're going to have the summer school with get some coaches on here, talk their teams, talk their programs. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. It's midnight Eastern right now. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Really goes a long way with the bosses. Make sure you got all the notifications turned on for the college experience with Colby doing the football show, college football experience. Go subscribe to that. Those previews are coming, all 131 teams. The college baseball experience, which is coming up next. So stay right here with Noah Beanick, the road to Omaha. Big 12 experience with myself, Rush, and Troy, and the FCS as well with Colby as well. And go check out the main sports gambling podcast with Ryan and Sean. That's all I got. Appreciate you guys rocking with us on a Wednesday night. This is the college basketball experience, and also
It's Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
it's another edition of Mac Tonight. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.